All right, well, I'm going to bring Miss Rebecca back up. I have another little tidbit. She is just a truly amazing woman. She's had such a great journey, and it's, again, I see her every few months or touch base with her, and she's like on to a new project. Like, she just continually evolves, and that's what I find real inspiring, that she understands that we're all here on this planet to thrive, which means there's always more for us. And as a CEO of RHG Media Production, she is launching her own TV network in January of 2017. That's what I thought was crazy amazing. So she'll apply the same successful principles she applied to her successful and popular TV channel to bring additional transformational programming to the world and amazing business opportunities to messengers that are called to reach a global market. So again, let's bring up the beautiful Rebecca.
Thank you. So I wanted to bring a little shine to the stage. That's right, Cinderella. Slippers, I love it. Well, the title of this presentation is actually the same title of my forthcoming anthology, and it's called Come Out of Hiding and Shine. Exactly. Now, it's funny, whenever I go presenting now, or I'm even on the calls with my co-authors, there's always this shine energy, and on the book you'll find it's in all capital letters. Because it's not just show up, not just kind of be seen, it's really center stage and shine. And Cindy's been so amazing today in sharing highlights, kind of a snapshot of where I am at now, but it's been an evolution. It didn't happen overnight. I never had the intention of getting into television. I was just talking with Ruby about that earlier. Never wanted to be on film, camera, and I have found that I love all these medias. But the reason this book is so near and dear to my heart, this coming out of hiding and shine, and I have such a fire in my belly for it, so you're going to experience that, fair warning, is because it's so not where I was. And this book has been my personal journey. And when I went out there and I was given the opportunity, actually, by Believing Your Dreams Publishing, Nicole Peters, came to me. I'm so Thank you. And she said, Rebecca, I want to publish a book for you. I want to tell your story. I want to share it with the world. And I said, that's amazing. I would love that. But you know what I would like even more? It's a little bit bold, right? We had this conversation. I said, what's really on my heart is that I would like to bring multiple voices forward. That's what I'm excited about, and share them with the world. Can we do that? And she said yes. And as I shared it, within about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, we had all of our author spots filled. So there was this pull energy, and I was able to offer it at an amazing rate because of the opportunity I had with Believing Your Dreams Publishing. So I want to share that little moment because we have opportunities that come to us, and sometimes we're really quick to say, no, not me, I don't quite see it, instead of sitting with it and saying, what is really pulling me? What do I really want? If I could design this, how would I design it to play my way? And be brave and courageous enough to ask, to share that vision. And she got so excited. You heard #1 bestseller. Now, it was Amazon bestseller #1. And on top of that, we're even trying for New York Times bestseller. So I'm very excited. We're leaning into all of that. But it started with her coming to me and asking back, and then leaning into it and seeing where it led. And I actually originally wanted to publish the book in 2018 because I like timelines. And it's moved a whole lot faster. I mean, it filled up faster than I expected. This book has a mind and energy of its own. There's an urgency to getting the message out. So it actually will be launched. The date is in September, but it might actually be August. So be watching for that. We're really, really excited about that. And that's something with the launching of a television network, this timing thing. It's so interesting. We were talking about that during break, Ruby, about timing, that's been as well, that this TV network has had a timing of its own, just like the TV channel is. And sometimes the timing is different for any of you planners out there. The timeline can be different than what we expect. It can move faster. Sometimes it can move a little bit slower. And really being able to tune in and be okay with that will help you actually do amazing things rather than trying to force or make things or hold back certain things. So I just want to encourage you, as you have opportunities presented to you today, you have things that come into your spirit. Don't try to control the how part. Just really sit with, is this a yes or is this a no? The how comes after. I just really want you to hear that. We get caught up in trying to figure out the how, and I'm a planner. I'll have plans A through Z figured out pretty fast of things I shouldn't even be doing because I like to figure out plans. My mind just does that. So I've really learned to pause and really see, is this a yes or is it a no? And can I show you a real quick technique for that? It means standing up. Okay. And sometimes it means closing your eyes because we can get distracted by things around us, but you can choose open or close. Sometimes people like to watch me go through this. But you want to have your knees soft, kind of feet equally balanced. And you're going to be seeing what your body does and what the answer is, because then you're tapping into all of you, mind, body, soul, and spirit, not just our minds that can logic it lots of different ways, both yes and no, and it gets very confusing. So you're able to tap into all of you. And I'm just going to go sideways so you can see. So then what you do is you ask a question. Should I listen to the rest of Rebecca's presentation? We all know the right answer here now. So hopefully everyone experienced where your body actually shifted forward and you'll feel the weight shift to the balls of your feet, almost with an upward energy. That's a yes. If you felt the opposite, where your weight shifted back to your heels and it's almost this crushing kind of energy, that's a no. Don't need to spend any energy trying to figure out how. That's already a no. You can move on to the next thing. You can do this with vitamins, supplements. Should I buy this in the store? Sometimes I still get the chocolate, even though it says I do. I will admit, you have discernment and choice. But you can build those muscles and just really see what serves you. I invite you to go in, and then you figure out how. That's when you bring in the mind to really help you bring the things forward. But really tap into, is it a yes or a no? It will give you great clarity. It helps you prioritize things. We're having to decide what to take off the plate, what to add on. This can help you do that with confidence and ease and knowing that you're on the right path with what you're looking to do. Then you figure out the how. And guess what? You don't have to figure out the how on your own. You can get support. So it's secret there. Okay, perfect. Go ahead and have a seat. Because everyone will spend the whole time asking questions. I have to be careful when I teach that in the beginning of a presentation. But I invite you to use that and practice building those muscles and experimenting with it today. But it should be a yes or no question. And then when you're prioritizing, you can say, is this the next thing I should be focused on now, or is it a little bit later? It can help you start to do that prioritization. Okay? Great. So now we have a tool to determine yes and no and prioritize. Because when we're looking at stretching, does anyone know what happens when we start going outside of our comfort zone? It gets a little scary. So isn't it important to have that clarity and know, so that you're doing the next scary, stretchy thing that you're supposed to be doing? That can give us some confidence as we go through that. So I'm going to talk about fear. I'm intimately acquainted with fear for many, many years. And I want to let you know how to work with it versus fight it. So we're going to talk about that today too. Because it's important as we're shining. When you come up and you're seen, you can also be a little bit more vulnerable. And to really be seen, that means taking off the mask, the role, the uniform, however it is that we hide, because we frequently can hide in the public eye too. And that actually keeps you separated from the very people you're called to serve and connect. So when I'm saying shine and be seen, I mean with the mask, that protective layer off. And that in of itself can be a scary journey. Well, let me share just a little bit of my journey, if that's okay with all of you. I want permission. Okay. I got at least one nod at every table, so we're moving forward. I will take that as the speaker for the table. 100% consensus. Perfect. Good. So my story, if we go back in time, starts with a little girl. My parents got divorced when I was about 5 years old. My brother was 2, and I was explaining to him what divorce meant, that Daddy wasn't coming home anymore. And I suddenly was thrust into an environment that was very unhealthy. And I experienced things a little girl should never experience, all different types of abuse. And what I learned as I was, quote unquote, surviving is that I didn't matter. I'm not okay. It's my fault. And it's absolutely not safe to be seen or heard. And when I cried out for help, it was not believed, and I was always put back, and it would get worse. So I learned to smile really big, sometimes painfully, and to stay below the radar, and to be thankful to have some food and some clothes. Eventually, I was rescued, and I moved into my birth father's home, and my stepmom, who became the mother of my heart. I followed her around like a little chick, so hungry for that mother love, to know what that was like. And I discovered new truths that were actually true, that I was and am beautifully and wonderfully made, on purpose and for a purpose, that I matter, that it's not and it was not my fault, and finally, that it is absolutely safe to be seen and heard, to trust myself and others. And when I look out in the world, I see so many men and women still believing the lies. And that hurts my heart. And I wanted the opportunity to help people know the truth, that each of you are beautifully and wonderfully made. You're absolutely needed just as you are. Now, not someday. You're needed now for such a time as this. I just want you to breathe that in. It is truth. But I want to tell you something, that when I started to discover this safe to be seen thing, it's one thing to know it intellectually. It is very different to be it, to know it, and to walk it. And that was a journey. In some of those healing steps that I took, I had conversations with God, because he would have me do these really mean, hard, horrible things that I didn't think I should have to do. Like I had suffered enough. I shouldn't have to do this scary, hard thing, draw this boundary, be vulnerable, confront people. I shouldn't have to do those things. And so I would argue or wrestle. And we'd have these conversations, and basically it would come down to I had a choice. Will you go forward or not? Will you do this thing on your journey or not? Will you spread the truth or not? Yes or no? And I would take a breath, and I would say, okay, God, here's the deal. I will do this mean, hard, horrible thing, again, underlining that I don't think I should have to, if it can make a difference in another's life, if it can help another little girl have an easier path than I, then I will. Because I loved others more than myself. It took a while to learn how to love me too. And it's interesting to this day when I have those choices, the new way I can stretch out, it always comes back to that. When I reach the end of myself, am I willing? And I'm willing to experience a little bit of discomfort to make the difference I'm called to make. Yes or no? And I keep saying yes. And when God called me, when I felt called to speak my story, I didn't think I should have to. I'd been a financial advisor for many, many years. I'd gone through the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur. I had created my financial empire. And I was making a difference. I was actually speaking. I was traveling across the country, working with companies. I was the spokesperson translating. I was the go-to person, and it was actually in the company, in the country. So that was absolutely true. On the 401k, 403b side, they would always pull me in on those panels. And I would say, I'm out there speaking. Why aren't hearts being transformed? Anyone want to know why? I was hiding in the public eye, behind a uniform, licenses, a name I felt like I was building myself. And when I was asked to start telling my story, here's what I said. I don't want to do that. That's uncomfortable. I've suffered enough building all of this. That's not what financial advisors talk about. It's not financially. I don't want to do that. But I'm also irritated because I'm out there speaking like you said I was supposed to, and the hearts aren't being transformed. And that's when it came to your hiding. You need to be willing to take off the mask, set aside all that protective gear you've been wearing. You are enough. Be willing to serve and share. So 9 months this conversation went on, and I wrestled and I wrestled and I wrestled. And I said, because I wanted to be sure. Some people say stubborn. I am a Taurus. I just, that's right. I felt that. That's right. Persistence, and I wanted to be clear if I'm channeling this energy that I'm going where I should. And so I said, okay, I will do this mean, hard, horrible thing I don't believe I should have to do if I never have to be on television. I don't ever want to be on radio. Forget that. I don't ever want to be recorded. I don't want to speak to more than 50 people at a time. We've already ruined that today. I'll use a microphone because my voice isn't super loud. I can give on that. And no books. I'm not a writer. And you just collect the people that I'm supposed to tell my story to, and I'll do that. Let's go change the world. How many of us do that? We feel the call, but then we try to contain it to where we feel safe. And the conversation came back, Rebecca, this is your choice, yes or no. Will you go where I call you to go and share what I call you to share? It is your choice, but you're all in or you're not. Okay. But I really hope I don't have to. And I gave the whole list again. And then within just a couple of months, I was on stage, my 5-7 minutes of fame, sharing my story for the first time. Crowd of 300, live streamed. I had 2 book deals in the works. One to become a bestseller, which is where we met. And I had 2 radio shows lined up and in discussion about doing a television interview, which I was wrestling with. And I stood on stage shaking, knees knocking, don't even know exactly what I said because I'm a little out of my body. So I didn't see the standing ovation. But I want you to know it's not because I was perfect by any means. I think, in fact, they knew and could tell I was terrified. But I was willing. Because to me, what gave me the courage to get up on that stage was if it could make a difference for one. I had been through horrendous things. I was willing to stand there and be scared to make a difference for one. And that's a lot of, to me, what speaking, whether it's radio, television, whatever it may be, it's making the difference. If I can touch one heart, if I can encourage one person, if I can have one more person stand up and be seen a little bit brighter, I just help the world be a better place. And that's what carries me forward in my heart and why I do what I do. So I encourage you to tap into your why. What is it that's going to give you the courage when it gets scary? Sometimes we get caught up in trying to be perfect, when if we could just remember, I'm here to serve, this is my why, the rest of that takes care of itself. And let me tell you, I have served falling off a stage into sound equipment in front of 100, like the final moment, crash. And I formed a connection I never would have had, because guess what the room was filled with? Healers. So suddenly I was real and could connect and in need. It was painful, quite a fall. And when I have lost my words in front of teachers, sharing things I've taught for years, but somehow the gremlins got a hold of me. Suddenly, it formed a connection being human. And they said, honey, I've been teaching for years. I still lose my words. And now they're so proud of me and the growth. It's okay to be human. It's okay to connect. It makes a difference in our shiny and less shiny places. So in a sense, it takes some of the pressure off. One of the reasons I started doing You're So Beautiful in the beginning, because it took the pressure off. I didn't have to be perfect. And if I had an imperfect moment, which I knew I would at least once while I was up there, it was like it was planned. So you know what I did when I stood back up after falling? I said, what am I? And they said a little bit horrified at that moment, but because they were feeling my pain as I'm, did that really just happen? So don't be afraid of the human part. It all serves. And I just want to walk you through a few key things that I hope will help you shine powerfully in your life. So you see the beautiful template, the flower template. But before we step there, we'll come back to this. We'll go directly to the flower. So what goes in the center? That's right. Big and bold. And one of the concepts we talked about this morning is being willing to serve and be seen. It's that willingness, not perfection, not that I have all the training, that I've got it all down. Let them go on the journey with you. Because you would not feel the calling, the pull, if they didn't need you now. There is an urgency. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. We plan on it. We hope for it. Want to make it to January and the launch of my network? I have plans. But I know we won't have this moment that we have right now again. And I don't want to hold back. I want to connect fully. I want to serve fully the moments that I have with each of you. And I invite you to do the same. If you feel that call and that pull, you're needed now, not someday. Build support into your life. It is not a solo journey. I don't know who started that myth, but it is not true. And we forget as entrepreneurs sometimes to look up. We can get so focused and isolated. Really important to build in the support network. And let me share, it's in the highs in life. You need people to celebrate with you. Cheer you on. Like we've been doing today. I've loved it. Like you couldn't hold back the clapping. It's brilliant. I love it. We need to cheer each other on, encourage each other, because when we're crossing to a new threshold, when we're stretching, if we don't get that encouragement and that cheer, we will contract. We're going to pull back. So the secret to continuing to go forward is building support as you're going to new levels. And you want that on a practical level and a profound level. Practical is, what do I do kind of day to day? How do I build that into my life? What are some of the steps? I don't see the how. Get help on that. You don't have to figure it out on your own. And then support. You actually want sisters and brothers you can call on the phone. Oh my goodness, this amazing thing happened, or I'm scared. And when you forget the greatness in you, they remind you of it. We need that in our life. Consciously and purposely build that in. Dance with fear. Fear is an emotion. It's not danger. It may feel like danger. But fear, if you breathe about 90 seconds, it'll shift a little bit. And fear is actually an indication that you're going somewhere you haven't been before, not that your life's in danger. So when you start to feel that, I invite you to lean in. When you're dancing, and this is partner dancing is the vision I have with that, there's a frame. And you move together. It doesn't crush you. So fear, if we can learn to move with it, actually look at our partner and see, what am I afraid of? And ask with curiosity, not with what am I afraid of. It's asking with curiosity. Frequently you'll find, well, I'm just trying to protect you. I don't know if we can do that. Sometimes that's actually what's at the root. And then you can say, okay, let's find out. Promise you'll keep yourself safe? I promise. Well, I got your back. When I started taking stage, because I was horrified and terrified to be up here in college and school and even financial advising. It wasn't until I learned how to put my uniform on and kind of hide behind that, because I'd learned as a little girl how to hide in the public eye. I had perfected that skill. I would actually eye the exit strategy and still choose to come up. And in that moment, I became empowered because I was choosing. I gave myself permission to walk off any time if I needed to. And I haven't walked off yet. But knowing that I could shifted that for me. Give yourself choices. It's not all or nothing. Find, how can I bring these things together? How can I set myself up for success? And find that path. And don't back off when you feel fear. Lean in and see, what am I afraid of? How can I make this less scary? What step can I take? What support can I build in? And then learn to move and dance. Find your way through. And here's something I shared with all of my authors, because this was a hard lesson for me. One of the things that happened when I was looking at sharing my story for the first time was my family thought I was asking permission and advice. So we'd have these weird, strained conversations as I felt like I was informing them that I'm going to start doing this, and I just didn't want you caught off guard if you get a call or something. And they were against it. And I finally realized the disconnect. They thought I was asking for permission. So when I finally said, I want you to know I'm doing this, I got more direct. I'm called to do this. I'm going to be in this amazing book and share my story for the first time. And I would love your support, but it's okay if you don't agree. This is what I am called to do, and I have said yes. And now they're some of my raving fans. But there was an energy shift in me when I finally realized I'm not asking for permission. I'm stepping forward and I'm inviting you to join me. And I encouraged all of my co-authors, I'm in several books this year, and all the books so far, I've been encouraging them, that remember, as you're sharing with your friends, as you're taking this step, I told the same thing for my television host, because anytime we're going out in this new way, people will speak their fears into you. They will try to protect you. They will give you advice you may not be asking for, when what you really need at that moment is to cheer you on. And if you're extending an opportunity to be on your show or to read the book, you're extending them an opportunity. They can say yes or no. You're not asking for their advice, agreement, or opinion. And that's really important as you're looking to step forward. So not permission. And then be willing to go beyond being seen. But what have we been talking about? Shine. Be willing to shine. If we're going to own it, let's own it. People want to see people that look like they're actually having fun up here. Not like they made me come up here and I hope you don't listen and I hope I get off soon. Right? That's kind of painful. So find a way to make it fun for you. I do shoe changes. Fairy dust, flower pins, you're going to see it all. But part of the reason I started doing shoe changes is because if you wear the same shoes all day and you're on stage, your feet can start hurting, so there was a practical. But I like shoes. And it energizes me to, what mood am I in now for this presentation? Whereas Alana, in the back, I was going, what shoe am I feeling, right? There's a selection that not all will get showcased today. But that actually perks me up, gives me energy. It's fun for me, which then I can bring that energy to the stage. And whether you guys notice my shoes or not, I'm happy. And then I found if I don't bring the shoe changes, there can be a little bit of a mutiny, because I found one of the games you all like to do is count the shoe changes and wait for the new people to catch on her shoes are changing. So now it's become part of my brand. But find those things that energize you, that are you, that you enjoy, and bring them. You can make it all work. If I can make flower pins and shoe changes part of the culture, you can bring your stuff, whatever is you, your you-ness, to everything that you're called to do. Let the world see you. Shine. Bring all of it, all of you. You're all needed, exactly as you are. Share those things that are quirks. When I was moving into this speaking career, I had a list. As you all know, I confess, I'm Rebecca Hall Gruyter. I like lists. So I had a list, and I hired a speech coach, the most expensive I had ever bought. I flew down to Southern California. This person had worked with Drew Barrymore and Maroon 5, and I had my whole list. If I'm investing this dollar in time, I had a list of things. And at the top of the list was we had to do something about my laugh. Had to go. Yeah, so you all know more than I did. Because I said, it's not very speech and professional, like how I envisioned a speaker. The laugh's a little out of control, and I got it from my grandmother. It's kind of distinctive. It's kind of weird. I don't know. And I remember he looked at me and held this space. And he goes, Rebecca, I think you have a misunderstanding about an asset and a liability. He said, when you have something that's contagious, that people smile and remember about you, and they lean into, that's a good thing. That's not the thing to get rid of. That's the thing to play up and, if anything, do more. The things you worry about are those things that interfere with your message, that make it where people can't hear you as well. Those are the things to work on. He goes, not the laugh. So kind of pay attention if you've got your own list of things that are different about you. That's how people can see you and experience you. It's your differences, it's your quirks, it's those things that are you that help them actually hear you and see you. So I encourage you to make that list to lean into and see. That's part of how you can really shine. And then one last truth I want to share with you. I don't know if any of you are like this, but I like people to like me. I do. I like that connection. It makes me happy. It feels good. And it hurts when they don't. And I had a really valuable lesson taught to me in the financial arena. I had a client where it got ugly. And I was accused of all of these horrible things. And I think what hurt the most is they believed them. Not that there was a misunderstanding, but they really believed them. And there was a year-long investigation. So this went on for a year. And with licenses and confidentiality, I can't say anything. I could not defend myself. The attorneys had to get involved, and this hung over me. And I was found not at fault, that what they thought had happened is not, and all of those things. And it didn't necessarily make me feel vindicated. I mean, it took some of the pressure, but what hurt is that they really believed that about me. So much so they were in marketing. They didn't have the restrictions I had. So they took out a campaign that I could not defend against. Because I will stand by my licenses. I will stand by that confidentiality. Period. To this day, I don't know any other way. So I went into my managing principal, and I showed him how unfair this was and how it wasn't right, and he needs to do something about this. Let's get the attorneys involved. Let's vindicate me. I hurt right here. It hurts a lot. Make it better. And he looks at me and he says, congratulations. I hurt right here. This isn't right. I wasn't at fault. Make it better. Congratulations. You finally are speaking clearly enough, truthfully enough, loudly enough. Your truth, your message, you managed to ruffle a feather. A big one. Go out and ruffle some more. To this day, he's one of my greatest cheerleaders. And it has been a profound shift, because when we are standing center stage, we are being vulnerable. We are sharing our truth. Not everyone's going to be in alignment. Not everybody's going to agree. And that's actually good, because now they know if they're your people or not. You're speaking clearly enough. You're not trying to please everybody. You're not watering it down, trying to make it palatable for everybody that they can absorb it. You're speaking clearly enough. They're like, yes, I'm your person. Yes, because they need your voice. They can't hear the other one very well. Now, please hear me. I'm not saying go ruffle every feather. That means we've gone to the other extreme, something to look at. But I find we fall too far on the other side. It's okay to ruffle a feather or two. That means you are speaking clearly enough. People know I'm in alignment or not. And if you're going to be a leader, you have to be standing in that space and leading and sharing who you are, not holding back because of a ruffled feather. That's another reason those cheerleaders are so important in your life, because it still hurts when I ruffle a feather or I'm misunderstood. But I always remember what Carl taught me, and I try to celebrate, and I find the shifting gets faster and faster, and I'm able to move forward and not get pulled into that. so that I can keep serving and shining as I'm called. And I want to give you full permission to ruffle a feather or two. Try not to take it personally, because that means there are thousands more you've helped. That's what that ruffled feather is an indicator of. So maybe even ruffle a couple. I wanted to do two things with all of you. One, I wanted to acknowledge my co-authors of Come Out of Hiding and Shine who have stepped forward and said yes to being part of that book. Could I have them stand that are here in this room today? We have 31 of them, but today, that's right, Randy. Thank you. Thank you. And what they are sharing in this book has touched my heart. It's so alive, it's so real, it's so heartfelt. And what I asked them to do was to share of them, their selves, not information, their story. And now living that story, what piece of wisdom or advice can they share with the world so we can skin our knees less? We can get some support on the journey. That's hard-lived, hard-learned wisdom. Or what would they go back in time and whisper in the ear? That's the information they've put in this book. Can you see why it's being called forth? Yeah. And this book is just so powerful. I'm so touched as I read each of their chapters. And I know many of these individuals for years, and they're sharing things I didn't know about them. So it's been a real gift and an honor to lead this project and help bring them forward as we're standing and shining together. So there's one more piece I didn't put on the flower, and that's action. We have to be willing to take action. So I'm going to give us an opportunity to do that with support of our community. Bless you. So what I'd like us to do is to close our eyes. You're safe. I can see if you don't. So close your eyes and just ask yourself, am I willing to be seen just a little bit more, to shine just a little bit more? Just see what the answer is. Are you willing to be seen so you can serve more on a higher level? And with eyes closed, do this carefully. I invite you to actually stand if you are a yes. To stand in that, feeling this community, feeling the ground supporting you, and your yes, to be seen just a little bit more so you can serve more in the way you are uniquely and powerfully designed. Wonderful. All eyes closed. I want you to see, I know I see you. I support you. Those of you who have said yes and are standing, I celebrate with you. And those who want to be seen by the community and celebrated and supported as well, I'm going to give you an opportunity to stay standing when we open our eyes. Those of you who are not ready to be seen on that level, I honor that. Then you are welcome to sit, but make sure you do it before I count to 3. Because I want to respect wherever we are. Because it's a courageous act to say yes and acknowledge that. It's a courageous act to stand in it. And it's another courageous act worthy of honor, respect, and celebration to be seen in it. So those of you who are ready to be seen on that level, supported by the community, please stay standing as I count to 3. 1, 2, last chance to sit down if you're not ready to be seen. 3, open your eyes. Let us celebrate and acknowledge our summer stars. Beautiful. We all just made the world a brighter place. Thank you for being willing to be seen, to serve, to make a difference around the world. It has been an honor and a privilege, and I thank you. Thank you.
I met Rebecca some years ago, just maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and since then, it's like having an angel on my shoulder. She has always been there for me. She sees things in me that I have not yet seen, and she keeps pushing me a little bit, just nudging me, not throwing me out there to the wolves, but just nudging me, and I can count on her to be beside me when I need help and support. I have truly, truly enjoyed my journey. I am also a radio show host, thanks to Rebecca also seeing something else in me. So on my journey, along with Rebecca Hall Gruyter, I am such a happy, wonderful individual. And the support I get from her, I will treasure for the rest of my life. Thank you.
Are you a speaker looking to reach more people with your message? You have a global vision that you want to touch the world and make a global difference. If so, I have an amazing opportunity for you. It's called the Speaker Talent Search. Again, that's the speakertalentsearch.com. You'll find all the details, but here are the highlights. With one application process, you get clarity on your message. You get to fine-tune how you want to reach the world. Then you'll have everything ready in one place for the opportunities when they come. Second, we select you as a finalist. You get to come in and audition with a 7-minute audition, open up the door to hundreds of speaking opportunities. I hope you lean in. I hope you say yes. We would love to hear your message, help you touch the world powerfully. Again, that's the speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your powerful message.